It's on the rise with Benny. And today I am here with an independent artist, and he is gaining a lot of recognition in the Nashville songwriting and artist circles. He's on a roll and continuing to rise in the music scene. Brian Fuller, welcome to On the Rise.
And good morning. Thank you.
Thanks for
Thank you
hopping
for
on
having
with
me.
me so early this morning.
Yeah, of course. What a great interviewee voice you have.
Oh, can you
Uh,
can you hear the difference?
it sounds like you were born to be on the radio.
And guys, to all my Midwesterners listening, he actually said I have an accent, that we have an accent. So that's new to me. But
Yeah.
Brian, give us your story. Who are you? Where, how'd you get started in music, and what's that journey kind of looked like?
Yeah, so I'm just I'm a pretty small town. I mean, that's pretty, you know, I'm sure a lot of people say that, but just a small town kid I grew up in a town that was we had one main street and a gas station and a Mexican restaurant, and that was about it. And I just grew up loving music. My grandpa was a big Elvis fan, so I was listening to Elvis and Peter Frampton and Guns N' Roses, and then got into some country music, with Merle and some of the classics, country classics, with George Strait and all those guys. And I just kind of dove headfirst into it. I loved it. I thought music was the coolest thing in the world. I thought learning how to play guitar and instruments was just a fun challenge, and I just dove headfirst into it. Never. I was just telling you a minute ago. I never had a plan B, so it was just kind of my thing. I was just the music kid growing up.
That's funny you say about Elvis, because my grandpa, he their entire house is Elvis collectibles, and I actually
Yeah.
dressed up as Priscilla for Halloween. Big Elvis people over here. So
I dressed up as Elvis when I was a kid, so we should have went together. I
that
uh I
is
had
amazing.
I had all of it. I had every just about every movie he was in. I had all of his live recordings.
Yeah.
I
I
had
still
all of his
cry
CDs.
when I'm on TikTok and Elvis stuff comes up. Like there's just something that is just, oh, it's insane.
It was amazing. Yeah, he was so good.
Incredible.
Yeah, he might still be alive. I don't know.
I
TikTok
know.
is,
I
is
mean, the conspiracies,
I
I
know they're
I couldn't
conspiring that
believe
he's
it.
still around. There's some guy named Jesse Presley somewhere out there, and they're like, "Hey, this is Jesse
How
died,
did
and Elvis took his place." So you never know.
hey, I mean, with the world we live in, I wouldn't be surprised. But do you think growing up in Georgia affected, kind of your brand of music that you're singing now?
Oh yeah, I mean, country. There's like the lifestyle of living country per se. It's completely different. You don't have a lot of stuff to do. Like the stuff that you hear in songs, or like we're just riding around in trucks drinking beer. That's just kind of what we do. We don't have anything else. There's not, you know, big malls or any kind of serious form of entertainment. So and that was the stuff I love to do. I mean, we rode around. I've got a buddy of mine. His name's Austin Meyer, and we would seriously load up in the truck at like 6 o'clock in the afternoon with a case of beer, and we would just ride around and we'd listen to music and we'd talk life and talk about
Deepest,
girls and
the deepest conversations happen on those back roads.
I mean
Life
we got it.
changing
We
ones.
Yeah, we got into the wormholes and some stuff. Like me and him are fanatics when it comes to like outer space, because
Oh,
it's just
spacious.
I this yeah, this is super left field, but we just you can go down a wormhole, like a
Yeah.
rabbit hole, and just it's crazy. Black holes, that doesn't make any sense to me. And we would talk about it forever. But um yeah, it forms you for sure. It gives you the tools for a songwriter. At least it gives you the stuff to talk about. And if you're an honest songwriter,
Yeah.
I think you can tell the difference between somebody that's honest in their writing and somebody that's not, because they do just pull the generic stuff out of the hat. But then there are some songs that you can tell, like, oh, this dude, like, he lived it. He grew
Yeah.
up doing it.
I think there is a difference, especially since, the Morgan Wallen came into the picture. It's people try to rewrite the exact songs or rebrand a song, but it's already been written.
Yeah,
It's not it's nothing new, but you can feel
yeah.
that when somebody has truly lived it because you can hear it in their voice. You can
Do
feel it.
you know who Dylan Marlowe is?
Yeah.
You know him? He's got a song called "You Did It Too." He just put it out, and this is just a good example. But there's a line there that says, "Did you pick peanuts off the side of the road, take them home, and Mama boiled them up on the stove? Put some in your Ziploc, some in your Coke, just to watch them fizz on up." And somebody that's never done that, because we did that. We literally, I mean, people grew peanuts in Georgia, and you'd be driving down the road and just go pull them out the ground and take
What?
them home. Oh yeah, yeah. So I mean, it's like somebody that's never done that before couldn't write that in a song because they don't know.
No.
They didn't know you could just go driving down the road and pull peanuts up, take them home.
No,
But
we would pull the corn off the things and
oh,
oh
we did that too.
oh my
Cotton. We have cotton corn and peanuts, and I mean, and strawberries. We had strawberry farms growing up, and you
wow.
go out there and you pick fresh strawberries. And I mean, you pay to go out there and you can get baskets and pick fresh strawberries off the vine, and
Oh
or
my
not off the vine, but
yeah.
yeah. So
Wow.
yeah, I mean, that's what you get growing up in a small town.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. So did you start writing or singing first, or kind of both?
I started singing first. I played my first show when I think I was 13. I was 13 or 14. I actually got suspended from school, and I'd always play guitar, and I just kind of sang to myself at the house, and I never really sang whenever anybody was around. But I got suspended from school for fighting one time, and my mom took, like, I had probably a mattress and like a bedside table in my room. She took everything else from me, and she came home from lunch one day. Um, I was in there just playing. I was playing and singing, and as part of my punishment, she was like, "You're gonna sing 3 songs." She heard me sing. She was like, I was probably horrifically bad back then, but I'm sure she heard something and was like, "We want, you're gonna get up and sing 3 songs at this festival that they were playing at." My mom was a singer too, and they were playing this festival, and she made me get up there and play 3 songs, and I was like, "This is it. I figured it
Oh
out.
my
This is what I want to do."
gosh. So
So I always knew I was going to do something in music. I just didn't
yeah,
know what it was going to be until then. And then when I played it was a little hometown festival thing. Um, I was like, this is it.
so
Whatever this is,
you grew up around music if your mom was also a singer.
yeah. So my grandpa he was not a musician of any kind, but he loved music. And then my uncle was a drummer in a metal band actually, and my mom was a singer. My little sister, she's a singer. She sings a lot. She sings in church. She was on American Idol and all that stuff. And my grandma was a singer. So yeah, I just grew up in it. It was
Wow.
kind of like just second nature to us. We just did music.
Yeah. So speaking of kind of your musical journey, you released your first EP in 2022, correct?
Yeah. Hmm.
So what give us the rundown on that? What was it like and what was the journey like up to that moment? You'd released a lot of singles before that,
Yeah.
but kind of putting those songs together. What's the backstory behind that?
Um, it was kind of random, honestly. Like you said, I kind of started putting out a lot of singles, and um, I met the guy that is currently producing me right now, and we had a write set up together. His name is Joey Hyde. It was me, Joey Hyde, and Neil Medley wrote one day, and we wrote this song called "Burn Me Out." And I had another song that I wrote by myself that I absolutely love called "My Honey." And then we, so I knew I wanted to put that song out, and then we wrote "Burn Me Out." I was like, I want to put this one out too. And being independent, it's kind of hard to. I mean, you're paying for all of it. It's expensive to cut music. And I met Joey, and he was like, "Man, I just think that you should be hitting the ground running." And I think you got something really cool going on. And he did me a solid and cut out the expense of having to pay for a producer. And he was like, "I just want to see you do good. If you want me to do this, I'll be happy to do it, and we can kind of just keep working together and growing together." And so we had "Burn Me Out" and that song "My Honey," and he was like, "Well, if we're gonna put two out, just pick two or three more that you love." So we just kind of went digging through the songs that I'd written and put them out on EP, and it was a definitely a big learning experience and growing. Had some growing pains through doing it and figuring out, learning social media and content and
That's the only way.
um
You have to do it to learn. You have to,
yeah.
yeah.
So we put it out, and it was, I think, kind of the stepping stone to get me into a little, to lock in a little bit better with my brand and sound. And I think that the brand and sound has grown since that EP, which is what
Yeah.
you want. I think you should constantly be growing all the time. Um, but I'm really proud of the stuff. We've got 6 or 7 songs that we want to release this year, and I'm really proud of them.
Awesome.
And I think it all stems from that first EP of just getting my taste of, hey, this is what it's like putting out a project. This is what it's like working these songs and promoting these songs, and just gave me a little bit of insight to it. And yeah, it was a really cool and then we had a show on the release night of the EP, and um, I think we sold 180 or 190 tickets to
Oh,
this. It was
wow.
like one of my first shows that I ever headlined in Nashville, and we played it the Analog.
Okay.
And I was kind of nervous because I was like, I've never played a show in Nashville before, and I'm still growing as an artist, and I'm still growing my fan base. So I was like, I don't even know if anybody's going to show up. And we sold like I said, about 180, 190 tickets. So
Oh, wow.
I
That's
was
awesome.
pretty pumped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of writing, so you actually recently kind of got your first big label cut by Randall
Yep.
King on a
Yep.
song you wrote. What was it getting that DM on Instagram?
It's pretty sweet. I was on the way to the gym, and I was just mine. I shouldn't have been scrolling through my phone, but I was. And I checked Instagram, and I had a DM from him. And when I opened it, you know how you can buy the Meta
Yeah, verified.
verified tags. So I saw the message, and I was like, "This isn't Randall King." I was like, yeah, "He didn't just Instagram me on it or DM me
It's
on
a fake
Instagram."
account.
I did. I seriously, I thought it was. I read the message, and I was like, "This is so fake." And I clicked on the account, and I was like, "Shit, this is the real deal. This is Randall." And oddly, funny enough, I had met Randall when I first moved to town. About 4.5 years. I moved here almost 5 years ago, but when I first got here, um, I met him out one night. I think we were at Losers, and he was with
Mhm.
another buddy of mine, and he was hanging out with kind of the same group of people I was hanging out with. And I remember talking to him, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I'm here. I'm about to sign me a record deal at Warner." And I thought he was full of shit. I was like, "This guy is not signing a record deal." He would not, because I didn't know who he was, but I was like, this guy wouldn't be hanging out with a bunch of nobodies if
Yeah.
he's about to sign a record deal. So I and then about a month later, I looked him up on Spotify, and I was like, "Oh, damn, this guy's like really good." So he was not joking. And then the same thing happened when he asked me about the song. I was like,
That's
"There's no way this is
crazy.
real." So, but yeah, it was crazy. He DM'd me, and um, I had no hesitation to it. I was like, "Absolutely, man. I would love." I've always been a huge fan of him. I think he's great, and I'm actually going out on the road with him this weekend,
Oh, awesome.
playing some shows in Florida. So, um, yeah, it was really exciting. I was pretty pumped.
I can imagine. I can imagine. So, you just released a new song called Blue Skies Beautiful, which we will be airing after this interview, guys. So, stay tuned. We're going to build your anticipation so you don't leave. But tell us a little bit about this song.
So Blue Skies is I wrote the song by myself. I love writing by myself. I do it a pretty good bit.
Really?
And I'd had this idea in my phone for a while, and I'd pitched it around, and um I had the first line in my head that I wanted to be. It's like, your mama knew mine back before you ever knew me. And I thought that was cool because just growing up in a small town, a lot of times you'd meet
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
meet your significant other, or, meet a girl or whoever through family members or through like a friend of a friend. And I just thought that opening line just kind of stuck in my head. And I pitched it around in a couple rooms and nobody was biting on it. And um, I felt like at the time I was kind of getting looked over a little bit as a songwriter, which I think we all do at times. And it was kind of my way of proving to myself and to everybody else, like, I'm here and I'm here to be a songwriter. And I just wrote a story that, you know, has happened to me and I think has happened to a lot of other people, just having to tell somebody, just having to let somebody go and just kind of praying that they come back. And, but, also being okay if they don't. And that's kind of the story behind it of just, you know, learning to be okay with letting stuff go. So,
I think everyone will relate to that, guys. So I'm really excited for you to hear that. Do you have any musical inspirations behind kind of your career that helped you get to where you are?
um, yes and no. I try to kind of pave my own way a little bit. I want
I like
people one
that.
day. I want people one day to turn around and you know, I feel like nowadays a lot of people compare music and say, "Oh, this sounds like Jason Aldean, and this sounds like
Yeah.
Luke Combs and whatever else." And I just kind of want to have my own lane like that. I want people to say, "Oh man, this sounds different. This sounds like Brian Fuller stuff." And but if I had to compare or give any kind of inspiration, I think that Keith Urban is kind of the vein of music that I chased. I just love that. I feel like every one of his songs are they're different and unique. They say something really cool, and you
Here's
can
the
have
important question. Can you play guitar like Keith Urban?
not as good, but I can. I feel like I could keep up with him for sure. I can. I pride myself in that. I am a good guitar player.
Okay.
I spend a
Okay.
lot of time. I spend a lot of time practicing, and um, I truly I find inspiration when I sit down to write. I usually find inspiration in a melody off the guitar before I sit
Okay.
down and it just pops in my head. I have to find something cool to play before I can start writing anything.
Yeah.
Which anybody that's in the music industry listening to this would understand. Like just playing G, C, and D for every song it gets kind of old pretty fast. So um, I feel like I'm pretty good. That's a long-winded answer, but I feel like I'm pretty good.
So, obviously, to everybody listening who doesn't really know Nashville and the music industry, it's a very cutthroat, very chew you up and spit you out type of industry. And Brian, have you ever like had any challenges in your career that have kind of, it was hard to stay motivated, or you got told no, or and you had to decide like I'm not going to give up, or I'm going to cry and pack my bags and move home? How have you dealt with those?
Yeah, I mean, every day, honestly. I mean, there's definitely been times where I've never thought of moving home, but I have been uh I've had my soul crushed a lot. And I think that um just having faith in God that everything's going to work out and believing. I mean, that's where I put a lot. That's what I lean on a lot is my faith, and I lean on God a lot. And there's a verse in James. I can't quote it exactly off the top of my head, but it talks about allowing perseverance to finish its job. And I think that the challenging of not only your faith, but of your character and your mind and your spirit is just part of perseverance, finishing its job, and it gives you calluses to keep going, and it puts a protecting puts a protection around your heart, but it also allows you to give grace to others. And I think that that's kind of what keeps me going is just knowing that when I'm being tested or days are hard or there's a storm in front of me, that it's just like, all right, just look at this as an opportunity to grow and get a
Yep.
couple more calluses on you. And whenever the work is done, we get to go up to heaven and enjoy that. So I
Yeah.
think that
Oh, I really
that's
like
how I
that.
think.
I think a
Yeah,
lot. I think our world would be a lot better place if people had that mindset and giving up wasn't an option because everything happens for a reason and we are put exactly where we are supposed to be. And
it does.
if you can keep that and remember that and just keep going, it's it shows just so much of your character. So very yeah, that answer. I don't know if anything can beat that. Um
Yeah, I think it's great, and I'll preach God all day long. I think that it's it's a beautiful thing to be able to believe in something bigger than yourself, and that that helps carry the load, and it's not, you don't have to carry it by yourself. Somebody else is there to carry it for you, and wants to carry it for you, and
Amen.
um, yeah. So just leaning into that, I think is the best way to stay motivated.
So to kind of piggyback off of that, excuse me, if you could give a piece of advice, I always like to ask the people I'm interviewing this just because everybody's path is different. Everybody has a different, piece that they want to share. So if you could give one piece of advice to anybody listening, whether it's a kid in the back seat of his mom's car and he wants to do something, but he's scared, it just, what would you say out of everything you've done and all the trials and tribulations and stuff, what would you say to someone to give them a little bit of advice or hope?
First of all, what's up, buddy? But no, man, I kind of give that back to God too. I think that aligning your life just to be a good person, and with anything, just speaking generally, um, practice being a good person first. And I think that when you at least try to do that, good things are going to happen. Um, people say that bad things happen to good people, and I disagree and agree to an extent. I think that the bad things are like what we just talked about. They're just the troubling times that are building character and perseverance. And but in the music industry specifically, I think trying to build a fan base first, and worrying about what people not what people think, but worrying about what the outside world has to say about your music. And do you have fans, and do you have people that are going to listen? Do you have people that are going to come to the shows? Because Nashville may be pretty cutthroat, but everybody in Nashville follows what the fans want. Nobody in Nashville thinks to themselves, "Oh, I'm going to make somebody like this," because it's not possible. You can't make other people like something that they don't want to like, and that's why you see a lot of people get signed to record deals really fast, and inevitably kind of, I don't want to say fail, but
Flop.
fall short of what they want because they didn't chase the fans first. And and being honest to yourself, and just being authentic and writing stuff that means something to you, and hopefully people want to listen to it, and if they do, then it's a win-win because you get to have a free therapy session and talk about your feelings, and you get to do it on the radio. So
Yeah.
um
I
yeah,
think I don't know. I think
go
out of
ahead.
all of that, I've kind of really just what I'm gathering from what you're saying is just be yourself. And
Oh
people
yeah.
are going to like you or they're not, but just, if it's what you want to do it and don't be selfish, and
Yeah.
let the fans are what makes you, the fans is what is going to give you your dream, you
Oh
know.
yeah. Yeah, and you can shut me up whenever. I'm
No,
a
you're good.
long-winded person, but yeah, you summarize it well. I think starting at checkpoint A is being a good person and learning how to do that well, and caring for others. And then people are going to want to care for you, man. They're going to want to pick you up when you're down, And I think having a community around you of people that love you just as much as you love them is going to help you in anything that you do. I've got a community of guys and girls. Um, in fact, we meet once a month. It's called Supper Club. We met last night and we just sit down and pray together. We talk together. We laugh together, and it's a community of people that just helps you move along. So stay in yourself, get a good community, and just freaking work hard, man. Nobody's gonna work harder for your dream than you are, and I think, yeah, yeah,
You guys heard that. But Brian, thank you so much for coming on to On the Rise, and I'm so excited to
absolutely,
see all the awesome things you do and your dedication and specifically your faith. I think that is what is going to inspire people and a lot of people listening, and I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of feedback on this.